So I thought I'd show you guys a couple things. I'm actually seal coating. I'm going to have a good video out on this here pretty soon. Let me get this where you can see it. Hopefully you'll be able to hear some of this too. I'll show you a little bit of this. So this is a retail center. You know, and this is kind of a cool thing. I bought this property like, gosh, what was it? About 12 years ago. Okay, this is one I've actually held for quite a while. And what you'll see is, let me get over here a little bit. I got something going on with my mouse that's really screwing this thing up. Oh, there we go. This is better. This is way better. If you can see that well enough, let me go and play. See if you can hear. Tell me if you can hear the audio on this too, Ironwood, please. All right. Hey, so we are going to pave probably 3, 4, 5 parking lots. In the next month, and we're going to start with one tomorrow. And I'll tell you a little bit about that. So I got some seal coating bids. So what you're going to see is I got this. I'm seal coating nearly all my parking lots. I've got industrial properties, retail, a couple of retail strip centers, and you know, some I'm fixing to pull lines of credit on, so I'm getting them tuned up and clean. But this is kind of, you might find some of this interesting. This is seal coating. And I bought a squeegee machine. This first parking lot I did was actually a little bit too rough to use the machine. And you can see, actually, if you look, this place has gotten a paint job. The sign, all the trims painted on the signs, or all the signs all the way around. And then I can tell you the putting the seal coat is just kind of like framing a picture, right? Kind of makes it all look good. You can see how the red on that curb pops, and everything kind of stands out a lot better. And I'm real happy about the way everything's coming out so far. And, you know, I bought this little squeegee machine. You can see it there on the right on the trailer there. But let me see. I'll show you a little bit here. I'll start this. But we're actually making a lot of progress. You can see we did about 11,000 square feet yesterday, and we're probably going to get about another 15,000, maybe 18,000 square feet today. You can see it inconveniences the businesses to some degree, not being able to come in here, but it really hasn't been that bad. They do have an alternate way into the parking lot. They're parking here. I've had one complaint today. Everybody can appreciate how much nicer it looks. So I can tell you, when you put on sealer in a parking lot, it's like framing the picture, right? It's like framing the picture. We'll make you listen to that again.
You guys know that I just, what we got here. So they started on the far end of the parking lot yesterday.
So we literally painted this thing in 3 or 4 applications, got it knocked out pretty quickly. And I'll show you some other stuff here. Anyway, this video's coming out. I'll probably set this out tomorrow. Did I get the striping? Somewhere I got the striping going on here too. I bought a little striping machine too. Actually, you'll see Alex here striping. Here's the striping machine. We ended up not needing the squeegee machine that I had. Take a look here. We got to straighten this out. Let's look straight down here. You kind of just see these lines. These guys are striping the lot while there's cars in the parking lot, and that's okay with me. We're getting it done, right? And let's go over here. Take a look here. Alex is putting a second coat. Keep going, Alex. Yeah, a lot of times when I stripe the parking lots, we'll actually just nail 2 2x4s together and put a heavy coat. And it's a really heavy, thick coated line. It takes a while to dry, but when you don't have that kind of convenience, you use this rig that you see right here. And by the time he walks that 10 feet, where he started is dried by the time he gets to where he's ending. So, because you know it's just perfect weather for that right now. Spray? No. Finish. This is a little striping machine I bought for a couple $100, and it's not as good as when we have another way of doing it too, that's heavier. But guess what? This is fast and clean and neat. And by the time he gets to the end of this line, the rest of the paint behind him will be dry, and it'll be done. I'm selling this place.
I've been fighting with the assessors on this stupid thing. They say it's worth 5.9 million. I say bullshit. It's not worth that much. But we're going to find out how much it's worth because that's what I'm going to sell this thing. This is about a 22,000 square foot plaza. Now, in preparation for the sale, I raised the rents and got, because we want the highest return possible. So yeah, so this is kind of normal. Like whenever you're going to get a property about to put on the market, you got to get your rents back up in order, because you get a little bit complacent. And I tell my students not to do this, but I'm guilty of it too. I don't always keep the rents up. I'm always a little bit low. Most of my stuff's paid for now, so I can actually be a pretty nice landlord. But when it comes to selling it, you gotta show the blue sky, right? In other words, you start setting the rents up, getting closer to market, and then also set them up to go up in the future. So if somebody goes to buy my property, I didn't want to throw my tenants into shock, but so they know that their rents are going to be fully up to market over the next 2 years, and so they can see the writing on the wall. But also, so can the person I sell it to. They can go, oh, okay, the pro forma is it's going to be here. And it will be there. These are long-term tenants that I've had. They've had a good ride. But yeah, Lifeversity, no, I have not really had any vacancy. I got one vacancy in this plaza, and that's it. And that's the only vacancy I have, period. I have no vacancies. I've got hundreds of thousands of square feet, and everything's full, except for 2,000 square feet here. So I'm blessed. Our restaurant has lost 30% of its sales. Wow, that's interesting. I'm sorry to hear that. It's expensive to eat out, I mean, I don't think twice about eating out or the food I pay, but, I do recognize that I'm not on a budget like I was one time before, a long time ago. And, food is expensive. It's expensive. But yeah, so, I hope to get maybe 4.5. I don't know if I'll get that. Like I say, I could make the argument that this property's worth 3. Okay, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. A lot of times, we'll let somebody with more vision than me come in here and buy it, and maybe they'll put their own twist to it. But also, let me share some more stuff with you. So, just like I say, I was trying to just kind of show you guys a little bit of a week in the life here. I got got windows going in. What did I do here? Let me see if I can share some of this. I got a lot of stuff that hasn't come out yet. I got a lot of videos coming. So this is, I bought probably 6 houses, I think, something like that. And this is the last window going in on this place right here. All right, let's talk about windows. So probably half the houses I buy, I end up replacing the windows. No exception here. We've already ripped all the windows out of this place. And I say rip, we carefully cut them out. When you have mortar, you got to be real careful how you cut them out. Other ones, you can kind of collapse them within each other, meaning the 4 sides, pull them together, pull them down. If you can get the glass out, all the better. And aluminum is becoming... So you'll see the window video coming out, and the other thing is a little bit of tile work happening this week. Let me share this with you as well. This is fairly short. Let me see. Getting a webinar. If you sign up for the mentorship, sometimes things get lost in translation when you got a lot of Spanish speakers, as I do. And so rather than explain it, I'm just going to do it. So I just grabbed a piece of limestone out of my little yard, and grabbed it, and then I came over and helped lay it out, to cut it out with, sometimes I got a guy that's been struggling with my tile. I got a good tile guy, but he puts a guy in there that's not quite as good, and then he doesn't speak English, and then I got to come over and say, nah, no good, no bueno, rip it out, redo it. And I hate doing that, but it does happen. But that's kind of the risk when you have some Spanish speakers that speak no English, and I should speak Spanish by now because I've employed Spanish people for 40 years, but my bad. Anyways, so what you're seeing here is I'm just laying out a piece of, I had a piece of leftover looters and limestone, and so I just squaring it up, cutting it up, and rather than explain the guy what to do, it's just easier for me just to do it for him for the most part.
And so we ended up ultimately getting this thing cut. And that's a wet saw. And I got to say, man, you guys got it so good compared to when I was in construction heavy. The tools are so much better now than they were. Lighter.
See? So we could square that up.
So I can't explain to him, how to square it up except for demonstrate with my hands, right? A lot of pointing, a lot of doing. And but ultimately,
35 years ago, cut it off here and lost a blade width. That's why those one side short. One feels like...
Yeah, I cut my thumb off. I cut my thumb off about 40 years ago, something like that. Anyways, and I won't say it grew back. The bone actually grew back, but anyhow, I got a short thumb. So anyways, walking through this, and ultimately, and you'll see a video on this too. A lot of you guys like the construction aspect of it, of a lot of stuff that I do, and that's my history, right? I have a history of being a construction guy.
We want a radius here.
And ultimately, we get this done, and in the end, you'll see there's my little grandson. Another reason why I'm retiring, but that's Benji, and he's sitting on the newly made stool in his aunt's shower, which is my daughter. So, but what else can I share with you? So, also, in fact, I think he's watching right now. I can't. Is that you? Let me think here. The man, right? I think it's the man. So you'll see, I got. Oh, that's a different one. Let me think here. Where are we at? Oh yeah. So I did a nice video with Grant from Anchor Down Homestead. Interesting guy, and he was kind of sharing some stuff. That video will be coming out, so you can look forward to seeing this. And he's had some. He's like went out to Idaho and built a place, and he's not a builder, and so he had to suffer being in an area that is light on talent, to be honest. And so he had to take people that weren't so talented, and he paid the price for it. And I was kind of telling him that that's one of the reasons. Of course, I make the argument for having a mentor. It's really, really good when you have somebody that's been there, done that, because as long as you have somebody like me, they can kind of tell you what to do and not to do and what not to accept. Now, obviously, I can't be there to say, this looks like shit. And if you ever get a chance, watch the video. I did a video on what's his name? Stephen Cornelis. I screw his name up every time. Anyways, he's the guys that goes after the fraudsters and calls out a lot of fake people, fake gurus, actually. Stephen? I screw his name up every time. Anyways, but anyhow, this guy here had some adventures, and he's on the dollar sometimes. So that's what I would tell you. And so the next investment you do from here, that's what really I would tell you to do is you concentrate on somebody else's loss. Listen, there's drugs, depression, divorce, death, all these, and that's me usually, and that's what I always tell you guys is, look, I'm a builder, right? The reason I don't build anymore, I rebuild more than I build, but the reason I don't build anymore is because it's much more economical to go buy something that's already done and buy it under market. And a lot of people, oh, gee, that sounds great, just buy it under market. Well, that's what I do, and that's what my students do. They buy under market, and that's why I got multi-millionaire students now. And that's the other thing. You see, as I retire here, you're going to see a lot more of my students. I'm telling you, I'm like the most unknown gem out there when it comes to being a mentor. And my community is not a giant community, but it is a smart, wealthy community. And I hope some of you can be a part of that. Anderson, I think Anderson's in there. Remodel looking good. I'm in the middle of remodeling the place I got. Well, glad to hear that too. Oh, hey, Grant. Grant's in here too. Grant's the guy you see here in the video, and looking forward to getting that out, Grant. When we'll share. It's not edited, and I'm not editing. I just kind of getting the rough footage in here, but but like I say, this is all just in the last week, and what else? Let me get us out of here. Oh, my God. Oh, there we go. What else? Got windows, parking lot. Anyways, let's just get back to something else here. Anyways, hey, so give me some feedback, those of you guys that are watching. I mean, what would you really like to see? You know what I mean? You guys know I've been ghosted and squashed by YouTube. They got an algorithm that just absolutely hates me. And a lot of it, I think, goes back to when I was actually being quite open politically. I definitely probably don't follow their guidelines exactly, but I pay the price. But somehow or another, people manage to find me that are really interested in learning how to invest and remodel some to a degree. But some people it's just a big yawner when you show them how to redo stuff, like the seal coating or all this other stuff. And so I don't go so heavy on remodel stuff and renovations. But even, even I can show a student that made $1 million on YouTube, and it's like a yawner, and I'll say, really, I don't get it. I don't get it. Because that I would think would be the most inspiring. But I obviously don't get it. I do not get it. So what else? I've seen a lot of YouTube stuff, a lot of more gurus out there, fake gurus, if you will, that are, guessing the market, and half the time these guys are wrong. Let's see. I don't know what you guys think, but I am extremely excited for the future. My sons just bought a house from their sister, and my daughter, their sister, just bought a house for me. And life is good. In fact, I got another announcement. My daughter's actually coming to work for me. She's, my daughter was at top of her class, and maybe I'm exaggerating, but she was definitely she was out of 23 interns, she was the only one that was hired. So that speaks highly of her. She's super, super meticulous and detailed and organized, and she's getting worn out at work. They work. And you CPAs know this. They are accountants. They work you to death. When you first go to work. She works one of the top 5 companies in the world, but anyhow, she's put in her notice today, and she's coming back. She's coming back, not back. She's coming to work for me the first time. And I told her when she went into college, I said, hey, when you get out, I'll pay you to count my money. And now it's actually true. I am going to be paying her to count my money. So that's pretty cool and fun, and that starts in 2 weeks. And so she's going to be taking a load off of kind of me and off of a handful of other people that work for me. And also, I've got, you guys know Miguel, I've got Miguel in place. He's kind of taking over a lot of stuff for me. So when I say I'm going to retire, I'm basically going to take the bulk of my assets are just kind of going into trust, and I'm just going to pull a check, right? And then I'm going to pursue other things I want to do, like travel and like mentor. To be honest, mentoring's been, extremely rewarding. I'm seeing young guys become millionaires, and they're getting richer at a faster rate than I did. And it's because I got the mentor. And I'm not patting myself on the back, but I am a little bit, because they make me proud and they make me look good. And so the richer they get, the better I look. Go through some of your failures. It gives us hope to hear it was tough for everyone. Yeah, no, and that's a good, listen, failures, you can interpret, everybody has different standards, right? Like when I say I lose money, I make money, but I know that I left too much money on the table. Or maybe I bought something I could have made more. Or maybe I paid too much, and therefore I didn't make as much. I consider those losses. Now, so I want to just be clear. I've lost, when I bought 80 acres. I bought 80 acres. Right after making $350,000 on 70 acres, I thought, shit, I got this. And then I bought 80 acres, and I ended up giving it back to the guy that I bought it from. And I bought it with a buddy. But I lost my 50 grand. My buddy had put down 100, and I helped him recoup some of his 100. So we each ate $75,000 plus the payments that we made on the probably, I don't know, a couple $100,000 interest we were paying on, so we probably lost, I don't know, another 50, 60, 70,000, I don't know. But, and then, I sold a house at a wash. I consider that a loss. I don't buy houses to make, to break even. I don't do that. I buy houses to make money. But I will tell you, like last week I just bought I probably have it on my phone here somewhere, but kind of a neat one. I can't show it to you. I would show it to you from Google Earth, but I really don't want you guys to see my little honey pot that I got right now, my fishing hole. But on that one, I did just buy a foreclosure. In fact, one of my students, I actually gave him a $500 finder's fee, and he got his check today, confirmed that. And then I bought that place for $270. I bought one up the street for $345 a month before that. 2 months before that, then I bought my daughter's house that I'm selling to her. Got it under market, and I'm like her bridge loan, and so that feels good. Okay, what are you guys talking about? It's called the cost of living. I guess I'm lost in this. Maybe where am I picking up? Live and learn, my friend. Oh yeah, well, yeah, the cost of living too. Yeah, well, listen, I can tell you one of the things I've always done, and I urge everybody to do this. Always listen to people that you admire, that are smarter than you. I when I was a kid, I read As a Man Thinketh, all the normal things. Think and Grow Rich. It's a wonderful book. Keeps you motivated. I think I read The Richest Man in Babylon, and there's a couple of good ones. I've never read Kiyosaki's book. I think it's a little generic. I can't say because I haven't read it, but people tell me, they say, Tom, I like Kiyosaki's book. He tells you how to save, but I like your book because it tells us how to make money. So I like to work. I'm more emphasis on making money, not saving money. Although I can tell you, my idea of saving money is everything I buy. It's just like I say, I don't buy anything unless it's worth more. Well, that's kind of how I do it. I try not to buy anything unless it's worth more. Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think I've almost never done my laundry my whole life. Even when I made $6 an hour, I paid a Chinese laundry to do my laundry. I'd go I'd dump my clothes off in a hamper, and I'd come back and it'd all be fluff and fold. They call it fluff and fold, and it'd be all wrapped up in beautiful paper, and there's underwear and socks and pants and whatever. I've never done my laundry. Because I thought, you know what, I'd rather pay somebody to do my laundry, and I've always done that. I probably ate out way too much when I was younger, too. I didn't care about eating much at home, and I lived in, pretty much dumps when I first started out because I really didn't live. It was a place to go to sleep. All I cared about was making money. I would go to work. I would sleep on my desk. I would sleep on the floor of my office when I had my cabinet shop. And then it was only when I had probably been about 5 years into my cabinet shop that, I made money on the building that I bought, and I bought many properties around me. I show you guys that all the time. But I finally got a little bit of comfort, and I bought a house. And I rented out half the house to a buddy, and it just made financial sense what I was doing. And that's kind of always been that. So, silly question. Still have yet to get your book. Man, are you kidding me, Grant? I thought you already ordered that thing. Oh, you haven't got it in the mail yet. Okay. Well, yeah. I keep wanting to think you're in Alaska, but I know you're not. But I just tell you, man, I've been so blessed. Look, I'm 63 years old. I always say a good life is by design. I tell my kids that. I've always told my kids that. Now, and I've designed a good, prosperous life. Now, probably could have been a better dad at times, could have been a better husband, could have been a lot of things a little bit better. But I've been a really good provider. I've made a lot of money. And so something always got to give. You know what I mean? I mean, number one, family first, and I've always been family first, but I work hard, you miss some things. I kind of attribute Ben Malla. I was wondering, why is Ben Malla richer than me? Now, and I got a couple reasons why, I think. But one of the things is that he sacrificed. From what I gathered, he had some time away from his family. That I never had to do that, And so and I'm not, he did a beautiful job because look where he's at. he's got his family with him, working with him. It's a beautiful thing when you see Ben Jr. and all of his boys working with him. That's a good life by design. I'm telling you, that's a good life by design. Hey, Russ, good to see you in here. Russ is another fantastic example of an amazing student, one of many that I got. But he's a young man. He's 30 years old and got 4 kids. And he's 30, and he's a multimillionaire. Okay, and and so it's cool because since he's been in the mentorship, he's just been like on steroids, making money and great deals, and really awesome. Russ, so glad to have you in the class. So glad to know you. Such a good man, and I got a lot of guys like that now. And so I tell you, sometimes a little bit rude, and I apologize. I know sometimes I'm rude to people. Get on comments and. I'm turning into an old man, and I'm having like short, like, go away, kid, you bother me. And it's just how it is. LOL, I ordered the book the day we spoke. I was asking if you are your own realtor. Now, listen, I've been a real estate agent for a very short time. I just got it because I could. I was a valid agent, I think, for 6 months. And in fact, when I started selling the few listings that I had that I sold, I think I sold them all illegally, basically. I think my license had expired because I didn't do the continuing education. Nobody knew, we weren't as computerized at the time. And so I probably operated as an agent illegally for about a year. But I already knew very quickly that this is not for me. It's for the birds being an agent, for me. In fact, I tell people ask me, hey, what do you think? I say, listen, if I was going to be an agent today, like if I was going to talk to my younger self, I'd say, go be a leasing agent. And the reason I would do that is because if I was a leasing agent, I'd be leasing commercial and industrial property. I wouldn't screw around with houses. Too much emotion there. But I'd be leasing commercial, industrial, and office properties because those are all business decisions. Those are decisions that are based on where it's located, the convenience. Number one, it's always location when it comes to business and retail and office. It's always location. Now, that might mean on a front street, on a busy retail area, or it just might mean you want to be in an area where all your key people, where there's a confluence of highways where people can get to the office quickly from all the points that they live in. People sometimes live, 60 miles in 2 different directions, and you want to kind of be in the epicenter of your best employees because you want them to show up. You don't want them to quit, and that's a big thing people don't realize when people are looking for a place to put their business. They're trying to keep their people happy too, right? Not just themselves. They're trying to keep their people happy, and so I in fact I can show you something just because I have a property. I sold this property, but it serves as a really good example of what's important. Let's go to Google Earth, and it's not always obvious, right? And so let me show you. It's in here somewhere. Sorry, I got to pull back. Other direction. All these little blue dots. I bought every one of these. Every one of these. And here it is. And it's easy to get lost in it sometimes. So listen, I want you to see this. Now look at that confluence of highway, right? Look at that. You see it 4 different directions, right? Perfect, right? East, west, north, and south. All directions. And here's my property, right here, this little blue dot. And it's kind of hidden. If you look at this property, there's the highways, there's the confluence that brings everybody into the area very, very quickly. And there's my building. And I bought this building. I bought this building for $240,000. And I sold it for $1,725,000. Made about $1.5 million on this. And after buying it for $240,000, I was making from $60,000 to $90,000 a year on this thing up until the time I sold it. But the reason this property is so great, obviously, look at no frontage on a street. It's kind of hidden in the back. You don't even know it's there. But that's not why. What was great about this property is that it was near this right here. Everybody that came to work here could come from all different directions and be in there. And when they got out of the office, and this is stuff a lot of people don't think about, but it is something to think about, is when they pull out of this building, they can come this way, and they can get on this freeway and head either direction, or they can go down the street this way, and they can come down here, and they can go head either direction. So there you go, north, south, east and west, half a mile away, and you're on your way. It's a very, very good deal. How long did I hold that property? Let me think about that. I don't know, maybe 12 years, maybe 12 years. And again, I was explaining this to the class, particularly to Russ and some others, and that's why I tell you, my students are going to be richer. When my young guys are my age, they're going to be richer than I am today for sure. Because one of the things I emphasize to them is looking back on my life, where I would have made more money is properties that I made, say $2 or $3 million on. I would have been better off selling them right after I bought them and made $800,000 or $1 million on. Because what I could have done with the money at that time, I could have replicated making $800 the following year. Again. And instead of holding it and making $2 or $3 million, I should have just flipped it and made my $800,000 and gone on to something else. Now, it does get complicated, and I meant to actually clarify this, Russ, when I was talking to you and the rest of the class the other day, is where it gets complicated is deferring the gains. And you guys know what I mean about that, but there is some tools now that makes it a little easier, for doing accelerated depreciation on some assets and doing, playing some games that you can play. But but I don't, I can tell you, I remember this farmer talking about, this kid's calling him up, trying to talk about, if you can sell this thing, you can get a bunch of money for your land. And he's like, son, I bought this thing 50 years ago, and now it's worth $16 million, and I bought it for, $10,000. And so he's making the argument that, he took 10 grand and he turned it into 16 million, and he did it over 50 years, which is still not bad, right? Not bad for a farmer on one investment. BP says, I am in the class. Just can't be present due to certain reasons. Well, you can always go back and watch, right? That's the good thing. People that aren't in the class, they get to go back and watch. They go to the archives and they can watch the archives. So Russ, like I say, it's really fun. It really is interesting when I see some of the tough stuff that comes up, some of the, and it's all stuff you weather and you make it. It doesn't matter. But things that catch you off guard, like I was telling Russ, treat every vacancy like it's the only property you have. In other words, I don't care if you have a couple 100,000 square feet like I do. You treat that one vacancy that you have, treat it like it's the only thing. Don't get complacent with vacancies, because next thing you know, your 2,000 will be 20,000 square feet, and instead of losing 4,000, you're losing 80,000. So a month. So but it's all super cool, man. And like I say, Russ, like I say, slow time. Sometimes we have slow times for different reasons. Whether it's getting things sold or getting things rented, and apartment buildings. I bought these apartment buildings right here, and I made almost about $1.5 million on those 3 buildings, and like I say, I don't particularly love apartment buildings, but there is no bad property. There's just bad deals. Don't make a bad deal, and you can buy in a ghetto and make money. You just got to know the value. You got to know the value that's there, whatever it is. But anyways, anybody else got anything you want to talk about? Any questions? I don't have the phone on, otherwise I'd take a call. Although maybe I could take a call still. I just have to put it on speakerphone. But Russ, any action on? Let's see. Russ got a question. Have you ever done a deferred sales trust? No, I don't know what that is exactly. I've done some I've deferred deals, but never, I've not done that. I don't know what that is. A DST. I do not know. Anybody else done a deferred sales trust? It'll be interesting. I'm looking forward to you getting rid of the the ground lease properties, as I'm sure you are too. I think that's a good one to off as soon as you can. And like I say, let somebody else do the blue sky. Let them. When we talk about blue sky, by the way, a lot of people fool themselves, and I think we've all been guilty of it. Say, you know what, I can do this, and I can do this, and I can fix this up. And even me being a builder for all these years, and I really, really know how to build. And I'm a good judge. I know value, and I know what things cost, and know labor. I can judge things pretty darn tight. But even I can be a little bit optimistic, more optimistic than I should be. And I'll get it done quicker than I think I can get it done. Or get it done cheaper than I think it can done. I'm a pretty good guesser. And so, but even I fall victim because once in a while I say, I get torn with, well, maybe I'm going to hold this long. Maybe I'm going to keep this. And maybe I'll do a little better job for myself than I will. And so now I'm doing a better job for myself because maybe I'm going to keep it. Or maybe I end up doing a better job for myself, but then I end up selling it. And, anyways, but these are the things you got to weigh out. There's some things people don't care about. It's like I can tell you, people will go out and build a home. They get a budget for their home. And then as they're building it, they're going to use the best lumber. They're going to use the best insulation. And then they go double on the insulation and they go extra thick on the sheetrock. And they do different things to make the house warmer and more secure and quiet. And then next thing you know, they've run their budget through. And now they're getting down to the things that show. Carpet, tile, cabinets, appliances. And now their budget is thin. And so now they got this house that's built like a tank, and now they're having to skimp on the stove, on the fridge, on the carpet, and now a beautiful house, and now it kind of looks kind of crappy because they skimped on what shows. And so you got to be very, very careful when you do that. Don't blow your wad on the insulation, and don't get carried away on some of those things because you'll pay for it when you get onto the interior where it kind of matters most. I'm almost done with the remodels, trying to lease them up now and sell. Just a little too far, and I can take that money and maybe make $7 million. Is that what you're thinking? With it? Oh, well, we know you're going to make a lot on the one big deal you got. But hey, you know what? Like I say, I and that's the other thing, sometimes, and you're doing awesome, Russ. But yeah, it's funny because you start, when you make a lot of money, and listen, you make tens of thousands, and then you make hundreds of thousands, and then every once in a while you make $1 million, or more than $1 million. Russ is one of these guys too now. And you'll start to think that you can do that every time. You can't. It's very difficult. The one time I was talking to Manny Koshman, and Manny Koshman, by the way, I can't attest to anybody knowing, but I believe he's the real deal, and I enjoyed talking to him when I did. But just in my few interactions with him, I thought I had a high standard for making money, but from when he was talking to me, he's talking about he expects a property to pay for itself with a 20% occupancy, and I'm like, what? So, anyways, I thought, wow, he beat me. Boy, he's got higher standards than I do. I'm not even sure if I misunderstood him now, to be quite honest. But anyways. But hey, listen, if you just got here, please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. A lot of people think you're subscribed, but you're not. I know because I can see the list that says how many people watch that don't subscribe but keep coming back. But listen, it's such a cool thing. Real estate, there's nothing like it. People wonder why I so hard on other real estate guys. I'm only hard on the fakes. I'm only hard on the fake guys, right? The guys that pretend to know more than they do, the guys that pretend to have made money in ways that they really have not. I can see right through that shit. And listen, I think it's totally unethical to exaggerate profitability when you're selling people how to make money. To say, it's one thing, say, I caught a fish this big. Maybe it was half that big. That doesn't hurt anybody. But when you say, I made a profit this big, and you can too, and they're full of shit, they haven't done it. That is unethical. And that I won't do. And I'm going to keep calling out the fakes as well. The man wrote, one thing I learned building was not to waste your time making stuff look pretty. That's going to be covered up by drywall. Yeah. Some guys will make Their wire and plumbing. Well, you know what? It's true. Some guys do a beautiful job, and I got plumbers that man, I'll tell you what, it is beautiful. It really is a work of art. When you see, even just under the sink, you look under the sink and you see a perfectly plumbed sink. It's pretty. It really is, and I appreciate that. But I've had plumbers too that when I get their bill, I'm like, it's the feeling I have like if I have one from my lawyer. It's like, I'm afraid to look. And I had a guy like that. He was really, really good. And I don't use him anymore, but he was really, really good. A little too proud. He was paying, I think he was charging me $165 an hour. And this is like 10 years ago. Let's see, I have 2 properties I'm looking to sell that have deferred maintenance, and I need updating. What's the best way to sell? They're all single family. Just a paint job, just clean. Again, this kind of goes back, BP, I'm going to just call you BP because that's what I can read here. Here's the problem. You can take an old house, and, there's some houses that, when you get in a house, a lot of times the older homes, the tile still looks great. It's done in 1930, 1940. It's because it's got grout, it's got concrete on the counter, it's done right. That's the old school way, right? They float it. They float, basically stucco mix, and then they put their tile on it. And the stuff lasts forever, it doesn't crack, it holds up, it's great, it sticks like crazy. And I got bathrooms that are beautiful, the old little square blue tiles, the little square white tiles, and they're still perfect. Once in a while you might get a little piece missing off a corner that got abused, but for the most part, they hold up way better than anything you see today. It's not like, my styles gets tiled on, hardy plank, hardy board, right? We nail it up tight and screw it down tight, and then we cover it with red guard and the different mastics and different things that we do. But it's not as perfect as the old school days when they floated everything out perfectly square, perfectly strong, and it's like it's put on concrete. It used to be horrible to tear out tile. If you tear out tile that's from even from the 80s, tearing out tile from the 80s, that's when they started to cheat, and you'd see people start tile on green, or green board, and then hardy plank or rock board. That still doesn't compare to how tough it is to tear out stuff that's actually been floated in there. Let's see. Do you buy real estate notes? No, but I carry notes. I've sold plenty of property, and I've carried notes, and I've sold notes. I've sold my notes, and he's talking about buying like first trust deeds. I really wouldn't buy a second, to be honest. Seconds to get you in trouble. If you buy a second, then you're putting yourself in a position. I'll give you an example. Just you might have to remind me what I was talking about, somebody. But on notes, I had a buddy of mine that this is like in the 1980s, and he was somebody I looked up to. In the 80s, I didn't have so much money, right? I was building my fortune. Hey, Liam, good to see you here, buddy. But back to the notes. He carried a bunch of second notes on houses in California. He bought and sold these places. And he took a second on a lot of these deals. And guess what? Earthquake came, and the fireplace, they don't always fall away from the house. Sometimes they fall into the house, and they bust up the trusses and just tear the hell out of the house. It brings down the ceiling. And then it goes down, and then it goes through the floor. And so it totals the house, basically, when you have a little rocker and the fireplace falls into the living room. And so that's what he was faced with. So he had all these houses that he carried a second on, and the houses were considered totaled. His seconds were worth nothing. He lost his ass on all those seconds. And so just keep that in mind if you're in a second. And also, I'll save that for the students, but I got some other stuff I'd share with you if you were in the class. Russ wrote, I agree, very hard to make 1 million with the right, 1 million. With the right mentor makes it a whole lot easier. I appreciate that. Hardest part now is trying to lease out the vacant space. I have banners up, online advertising, etc., but still slow. And and here's the other thing. It gets slower as you get near Christmas, to be honest. And here's another thing. you know, the interest rate is finally dropping, right? We just it dropped a quarter point. Was it a quarter? I don't even know if it was a quarter. I think it was a quarter. It's not enough. I mean, things got to drop a good 1% before anybody's even going to start to feel a little bit motivated, right? And you know, I just got a quote on a loan today, fixed rate, 6.5%. And this is me actually looking at rates for my kids, not me. But again, it's, you know, it's not the only reason things are. Here's the deal: people that buy full price, people that pay full retail, they got to have, you know, they got to have 4.5% right now to make sense of anything. Otherwise, it just doesn't make sense. It's too tough to buy. Well, you're 2% away from 4.5% on your interest rate right now. So the only way you make up that 2% is you buy like I do. You buy like my students do. We buy under market. We can, and so instead of having a low mortgage because of the interest rate, we have a low mortgage because we buy so far under market. That's your hedge, really. That's your hedge. And so, anyways, hey, Liam, Liam also in the class, fantastic guy, great student, super carpenter. And he's just one of the other, you know, millionaires in the class now. But, you know, he's made deal after deal. He's a super value add guy. He knows how to read a tape. And knows how to, you know, he knows how to make shit happen. And by the way, did you get your shirt, Liam? Did you get your shirt yet? I'm gonna make Russ jealous. I sent Liam a shirt, and I sent a shirt to another guy, Tony, in the class. But so yeah, you'll have to give me your size, Russ, and I'll send you a shirt as well. Anyways, but yeah, Liam's got a beautiful commercial building now, and he made it happen, and it was one he really wanted. And I tell you, that's the power. When you really want something, you can make it happen. You know, you can make it happen. A lot of people, they just give up too early. You know, they give up too early. But hey, anyways, hey, wonderful to see you guys in here. I'm going to try it. Like I said, Liam, Russ, I don't know if you guys know, I think maybe I mentioned in the class, I'm retiring. My daughter's coming to work for me, my accountant, and she's going to take over a bunch of stuff. And not necessarily that I do. She's actually taken over the jobs of probably several people that work for me, because she's young and smart and she can do that. And then of course, you know, I'm just trying to take the bulk of my assets, and I'm just kind of putting them in a trust and not thinking about them, and I'm just going to take a check on those. But it doesn't mean I'm not going to. It doesn't stop me from investing. I'm always going to invest, but I plan on continuing to invest and mostly mentor. So looking forward to that. And those of you that are new here, then hey, please get my book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. I don't even have the button to push right now. Get my book, Wake Up and Smell the Real Estate. It's been a bestseller on Amazon and Audible. And go to the links below and check out, you know, flipanythingusa.com and check out some of these people that are in here right now. You can see some of their stories, their videos, and you'll see the money they made. And it's highly motivational, very, very motivational. When you're in a class full of people that are making money left and right, it's very, very cool. It motivates me. I don't like to miss a Saturday because I feel like I'm missing out. So, hey, everyone, thanks for watching. And again, please hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, and we'll see you guys in class Saturday. And I'll be on. I got several videos I'm releasing this week on different things, and we'll see y'all later.